Hi everyone, welcome to the Validity and Reliability in Measurements lecture. At this point, you've already learned about the concepts of validity and reliability, and we've talked about how they can be affected by the research design decision. But there are also multiple ways that validity and reliability are influenced by the measurement decisions, and we're going to go over those here. So as a quick reminder, in research methods, reliability means the ability to get the same question or to ask the same question over and over and get the same answer every time. An unreliable question is one where the researcher will get a different response every time they ask. Validity is the extent to which your measurements are adequately representing the concept, or as I like to paraphrase, are we measuring what we think we're measuring? Here is a great illustration of reliability and validity in measurement. A measurement that is reliable but not valid means that the measurement isn't actually measuring what it's designed to measure, but it's consistently getting the same responses. A measure that's unreliable but valid means it does measure what it's designed to measure, but there's no consistency in responses. The goal, of course, is a measure that is both reliable and valid. So it's measuring what it's designed to measure, and it's reliably hitting that target over and over. So let's talk about some of the ways that measurement decisions can affect the reliability of our measurements. First, clarity issues in measurement construction. This means that something about the measurement causes the subject to guess or is otherwise unclear. This can be a problem when there's non-exhaustive or non-exclusive response options provided. For example, if you were 20 years old and we had response options that were 10 to 20 and 20 to 30, which category would you choose? Well, you're going to guess. And the problem with guessing is that if you're given the same question later, you may forget which category you chose the first time and pick a different one, hence making it an unreliable measure. Another common reliability issue in social science measurement relates to recall problems. Let's say I wanted to ask you how many alcoholic beverages you've had. If I asked a 30-year-old student how many alcohol beverages they've had in their entire lifetime, and I made them give me a specific number, like 1 beverage, 2 beverage, 3 beverage, how many students do you think could actually answer that question honestly, right? Not because they're trying to cheat, but simply because you have no idea. Now, if I change that question to, in the past week, how many alcoholic beverages have you had? And I ask for that specific number, it's much more likely that you're going to be able to give me a more reliable answer. This is why we often limit questions that asked about frequency of behaviors or events to a certain time period. So 7 days, 30 days, maybe a year. That way we can avoid recall concerns that reduce the reliability of our results. Uncertainty in measurement scoring can also cause reliability issues. Think about teachers who are grading student assignments. When I have a rubric laid out that says all the differences between A, B, and C paper in detail, it's easy for me to ensure that students get reliable grades. But if I'm just reading through all the papers and then I just make up a score based on what I think their content rates, then it's likely that I'm going to have reliability concerns because I'm using an unclear scoring procedure that may cause my scores to vary between assignments and between students. Finally, outside factors that occur during the taking of measurements can also cause unreliable results. Environmental issues like noise in the testing room, flickering lights, a broken AC, etc. All of these can impact the subject's attention to the questions being asked. Or maybe your participant themselves has something going on with them. They haven't slept well, they're feeling anxious, they're trying to cheat, whatever. All of these outside influences can also create reliability issues. So what about validity? What causes invalid measurements? One reason for invalid measurements is a disagreement between the concept itself and the variable. This is also called face validity in research methods. Face validity means, does our measure agree with a common image or a common notion of the concept? For example, if I'm trying to measure sexual harassment, I can create a variable asking about being touched in the butt. Does that make sense given our understanding of what sexual harassment includes? Absolutely, I would say so. Another reason for invalid measurements occurs when the measurement doesn't capture the entirety of the concept. This is also called content validity in research methods. For example, going back to my sexual harassment example, being touched on the butt has face validity because it makes sense in relation to the concept of sexual harassment. But if that was the only question I asked about sexual harassment, it would not have content validity because sexual harassment encompasses a lot more behaviors than just being touched physically. When we take a complex social science concept and we narrow it down to a single question, we're often going to create concerns about content validity. Finally, we may create an invalid measure if we're measuring something completely different than other people have in the past. This is called criterion validity, or how your measure compares to measures that other researchers have used before. The best way to increase our criterion validity is to do a good literature review and see how the concepts you're investigating have been measured by other researchers. This can help guide you when you set up your own measurements. It doesn't mean you always have to use the exact wording of other people, but it does mean that if you deviate from that measurement, especially quite a bit, you should be able to justify why your measurement is different and better and what the new definition accomplishes that the previous measurement did not. Okay, last two slides before we finish this whole module. How can we improve our reliability and our validity? There are several different ways to improve reliability and validity, but I'm only going to focus on two of the most common. To improve reliability, you can use the test-retest method. This means that you ask the same questions at the beginning of the survey and at the end to ensure that you're getting the same results each time. If you ask a vague question about discrimination and crime, then you're going to get different answers from the same person. One when they answer at the beginning and then a different answer when they answer at the end. So you'll know to go back and re-operationalize the variable. You can also do the test-retest method by conducting the test at one point in time and then doing the same test a little while later. If the answers stay the same, then your measurements are reliable. You can also improve reliability through inter-operator checks. This means that if you are having multiple people analyze your data, you're going to double check a subsection of your population to make sure that both people that are analyzing it agree with one another's conclusions. If you come to different conclusions using the same data, then you know that you need to refine your test scoring methods. To improve internal validity, you would change your methods to use a qualitative or a mixed method approach. Remember that qualitative allows you to better explore a topic because the data gets to speak for itself rather than you assigning choices to the participants. You can also use composite measures, meaning that you're going to use multiple measures instead of a single measurement in order to ensure that the entire range of a concept is explored. For example, this quiz here uses a composite measure approach, albeit simplistic, meaning that it asks multiple questions and then it adds up your total to create a summative score, which then identifies whether or not you and your friend are brilliant besties or not. All right, well, that completes our validity and reliability and measurement lecture. Again, this is one of the most important modules in our whole course. So remember, feel free to rewatch any of the lecture videos if you're still unclear on a particular topic, or schedule a time to meet with me during office hours to discuss your questions. Thanks for watching, everyone.